Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Sides, and I'm here as a presentation speaker for the Online Children's Ministry Conference. Hope everyone's having a really good time. I hope you're seeing a lot of really great speakers, and hopefully you're hearing some things or learning about some things that are stoking the creative fires and something that you can take back and just elevate your own ministries, whether you're in children's ministry or any other type, homeschools or teachers. Hopefully you're hearing something that is just awakening some new and fresh ideas for you. And that's really what I want to do today. I am a professional puppeteer on the side, and I have studied puppetry and been trained by professionals and been able to do a couple of really cool projects with puppets. But the main thing that I do is use puppetry in our children's ministry in my local church. So first thing I want to do is kind of give you a little bit of background on me and my love of puppets and using those in a ministry function. And then I want to show you a little bit about what I do and how I do it, and then also give you a couple of resources that hopefully will help you in your areas as well, at your churches. Doesn't matter if you are a professional seasoned puppeteer or if you're somebody who has never even seen a puppet. Hopefully you'll learn something and be able to take that back. So like I said, my name is Matt, and I am a creative director at my local church, which is called Milestone Church in Keller, Texas. It's a little bit north of Fort Worth, just to give you a little bit of location. And I've been doing puppets and children's ministry since, 20 plus years, I'll say. It's something that I kind of just fell into and loved. About 7 years ago, I actually went to a puppetry workshop at a small college here in North Texas, and was trained by two Sesame Street puppeteers, Noel McNeil, who, if you've ever heard or seen Bear in the Big Blue House, that's him, and many other things, Muppets, Sesame Street, Between the Lions, Puzzle Place, tons of children's puppet work. And then also Peter Lenz, who is still working at Sesame Street. Both of them were trained by Jim Henson, so they kind of know what they're talking about. But it's a really cool workshop called Beyond the Sock. The really cool thing about it is half of the day we spent learning how to perform puppets in front of a TV camera in an actual studio at the college, and the other half of the day we spent learning how to build professional grade puppets from a master puppet maker named Pasha Romanowski, who is located here in Dallas. He's made puppets for so many big events. There's a couple of really big children's shows in Australia, and then most recently he helped make puppets for the live action Little Mermaid production that was on sometime earlier or late last year. So with that, I have been able to go back every year, and so I get to hang out with those guys and learn and glean from them. I've also been able to take that and use that to be able to do puppets in a professional setting for myself. I've done Chuck E. Cheese. So anytime you see Chuck E. Cheese, or if anyone's been into Chuck E. Cheese lately, you'll see puppet videos there. I've got to be on those a couple years back. And there's a Christian children's web series that I got to be a part of called Wyatt's Fort. Really cool. It's all puppets, but has a really good Christian message. So definitely check that out from a group called Lumen Deo. And then I've been able to do a lot of just normal puppet stuff, here locally with my own production things, which I call Moose Egg. So crazy name for puppeteer. But it's something that I've really got to be able to do, and it's helped me open up doors to just do children's entertainment, but then also mix that in with a lot of ministry. So I've been asked to go to multiple churches and teach people how to do puppets. I've done online workshops and just training people how to do puppets in their church. And so it's been something that God's really opened the doors for. So I really love it. And so that's what I'm here today. I'm here to show you kind of what I do with puppets and how I use them in our church. And every church is different. That's the great thing about the body of God is that we're all different. We all do things different ways. The church is not 100% the same, which is amazing because we're not the 100% the same. So the way we use puppets at Milestone is not so much as the main attraction, but more as, kind of an added bonus. Sometimes puppets teach stories. Sometimes they teach the rules or they go over how to behave in classes. Sometimes they do just the memory verse. So there's a lot of different ways that we use puppets. So might as well just show you. So I have a puppet here that we call him Julius. I can get them straight here. So this is Julius. As you can tell, he's orange because it's Orange Julius. That's a joke for all the teachers. None of the kids get it, and that's all right, I guess. As you can see, Julius is a standard arm rod puppet. Two little arms. They have sticks, and he just sits there. It's pretty much just a glove like that. So the way I do puppets, a lot of people do this differently, and a lot of people perform differently. Some people, they build a stage. Some people hide behind a curtain. Some people do that. I can tell you right now, the way I've done it, that has been kind of, just a completely different mentality from everything I was shown and grew up with is I just sit in a chair. The kids see me just like you're seeing me. They see Mr. Matt holding a puppet, but then after the puppet starts talking, they quit looking at Mr. Matt. They don't care that me and the puppet move our voices the same way because the puppet starts taking on a life of its own and starts doing stuff. So, and then you do a couple of those. Hi, my name's Julius, and I am so happy that everyone is here today, that you are all learning about different things for your ministry, how to talk to kids, how to sing songs. That's one thing I don't do. I'll do puppets and teach stories all day long, but guess what? Mr. Matt, myself, we don't do songs. We are not the praise and worship team. God did not bless us with those skills. So you can see, if you look at me, I am moving my mouth. I'm not a ventriloquist, which has been one of the biggest things. People think that you're supposed to be a ventriloquist. I'm not. But when I was doing that, you weren't looking at me, were you? Probably not. Probably not. You were probably looking at a puppet, and that's what the kids look like. They don't care that Mr. Matt's over there because once the puppet becomes alive, that's what they care about. They just want to look at me. They want to see, oh, Julius. He wants to be here and everybody wants to talk. And they quit looking at this guy. Because this guy, he's not what they came for. He's not going to tell them anything fancy. He's just going to stand there. And it's great. It's so much fun. I like it. I like it when the kids focus on me. Then I'm able to tell them some really cool things, like we can go over our memory verse. Hey kids, do you want to say our memory verse? Hey, you over there? You over there? Let's say our memory verse together. Our memory verse comes from the Bible, and if it's in the Bible, that means it is true. That's right. So, sorry. This is probably what most of this is going to be, me just rolling with it. But that's Julius. Julius is very easy. He's very comical. He's very animated. And the kids love it. The kids love it. And you know what? Julius will start saying the memory verse, and the kids will just want to repeat it. And when they see Julius, it's kind of a special little thing for them. So Julius doesn't come out every weekend. He doesn't come out and do stuff every time. He used to, and that's fine. And there's different ways we did it. We did stuff where, sometimes the kids sat there and me and Julius would sit in a chair and we would go over the story, or we just do the memory verse, and then I did the rest of the story and we put Julius up. So there's a lot of different things. We weren't very strict with the way we did it, and it keeps changing it up. So, and I think that worked. I think that there's a lot to that helps with keeping it fresh and keeping it, kind of exciting, because you never know if Julius is going to come out. You never know if another puppet's going to come out. So also another thing, if you notice, I didn't use a different voice. For Julius, he has pretty much my voice. I don't really hide it. I do have other puppets. Yeah, I make characters. Um, we do different voices, but a lot of people, they get up there and they want to do different voices and be wacky and all that stuff. Julius wasn't wacky. He wasn't, he wasn't trying to be this character. He's just, he is who he is, and he can teach just like I can teach. And it's really interesting when you take a step back. He's saying the same things that I would say in the same voice, but the kids, I promise you, they will listen to Julius way more than they'll listen to me. And it's, that's kind of an ego thing. So, but there's different types of puppets. There's, Julius is an arm rod puppet. These are really great. These are something, this one, Julius, I bought. There's other ones that are just like that one. I have a penguin puppet that I made myself. There's definitely different avenues to make those puppets. You can buy them online. There's a lot of stuff, and I forget the company, but there's a company out there where you can buy these really just basic people puppets, and they're dressed as a police officer, or they're dressed as a cheerleader, or they're dressed as a fireman or a cook or a chef, or you can find them and they're dressed like biblical characters. Those are fine. I like using more these type of puppets, this training type of puppet, because he's very, very easy to use. You can tell there's really not much to him. There's really not. He has one little tuft of hair, and that's it. There's not much. But when you see him, he's so bright and colorful. And so when we used to shoot videos, and you can find those on YouTube. They're a little bit older. I haven't shot any in a long time, just because of, life. I had 2 children, and that took up all my time. But if you go to YouTube and search Moose Egg Productions, you can find these wacky little Julius and another person teaching you the memory verse and motions for each week. They really lined up with the orange curriculum that we use at our church. So they're out there. Feel free to utilize them as needed. But he's very colorful, and he grabs attention, and people look at him. And so he's also, he's just right there. He's so bright. Everyone loves him. I love him. Everybody loves me. Another really cool thing is this, and I know this is a lot more practical. I don't know, I kind of debated on being more like, let's talk about like, the idea of puppets, but I really wanted to come and bring practical stuff today, because I feel like that's one of those great things is with conferences like this, you kind of get a good mix of real practical, down to earth, like what can I utilize in my ministry today, versus, man, let's think about some things and have some different ideas. So this is hopefully a lot more practical. This is another really great one. These are really easy to make. They are ping pong balls. 2 ping pong balls glued together with a small little piece of elastic. So this one actually goes through. You can see there was a hole cut. That's really hard to do. But other ones, you could glue the ping pong balls together. You could take this elastic ring and hot glue the elastic right on the bottom of those things. And then your fingers go right in there. I put my 2 fingers there. Put a little tuft of hair just to give it some personality. And 2 little pieces of felt glued on there. Actually, these are those sticky sided felt, but you could take felt and glue them, or take a Sharpie and glue it. And as you can see, look, everyone has a puppet with them at all times. You always have a puppet. Hello. You can see, hey kids, let's talk. Today I'm going to tell you about somebody in the Bible. And you know what I say? If it's in the Bible, it is true. It's very true. Okay, I just went back and I just said, oh, it was my voice, but I changed voices on the hand for some reason. So these are really easy. I like these because you don't have to have a lot of puppet experience. And these are really great. And what I like to use them for is this. You always have a kid, well, maybe not, but I like to do this. When we do our memory verse, and I say the memory verse and the kids repeat it after me, I always have a helper. And so a helper is going to then say the memory verse. I'm going to say it a few times. The kids will repeat after me, and then the helper will say the memory verse, and they'll repeat after the helper. So we always have a child leader, and so I think that's one of the big things of like building up children to step up and bringing them to kind of a higher level. Making them use this puppet is so much fun, and who cares how they do it? You know, I try to be very, very precise. I try to only move my thumb. I try to be very, very focused on my puppet movements. Who cares? Hi, everybody. It doesn't matter how you do it because it's just a tool. And so for the kids to do it, or even a teacher that doesn't do puppets or whatever, hi, how's it going? I don't care how you do it as long as you're doing the puppet. Ha 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 ha. But these are really cool because these things very, very, very inexpensive. You can get a 50 pack of ping pong balls from Amazon for like 10, 15 bucks. Elastic you can find for like $5 to $6 at Hobby Lobby or Joann's. Felt, that's like $1. And then fur you can find for about $5. That's 20 bucks of materials, and you can make one of these for every classroom at your church, for every teacher, however many teachers you have. There's just so many. But that's $25 will make about 20 of these. That's really good and very cheap way to do puppets. Hi, how's it going? And so they're really great. We use these for a lot of promotional stuff, or if I am doing training and trying to show people how to do puppets, these are really great because you can see what my hand's doing, so that way people can practice. So something to think about. I have bigger puppets. I have live hand ones where my hand goes into sleeves as well. That one is really cool. He's a big Yeti. I don't bring him out too much just because he's completely white. And, you know, anytime I do puppets, the puppet normally stands away from the children, just because it's this weird thing. If you've ever done puppets, I don't know if you're like me in that situation, you've ever done puppets, but anytime I bring a puppet out to children or adults, their first instinct is, man, I really want to punch that puppet in the face. And I don't know what it is. I feel like that's the enemy coming against us, you know, ministry workers, but everybody wants to hit the puppet in the face. And I can't make anyone understand that that's just my hand in there. So me and the puppet, we stand back from children and from adults. And so I do mean that as a joke, everybody. But if you ever see it, a lot of people try to hit them in the face. So yeah, we this is how I use puppets, and this is the functionality I use them in our ministry. I do it online or in service as well. The puppet, he reads stories. He will tell jokes if we are having to fill time. He will talk about the memory verse. The memory verse is the biggest thing we do. One of the other things I do want to say, and I'm going to kind of shoehorn this in, is our memory verse mentality. And this is something I teach all my teachers to any of the churches I go to, is when we do the memory verse, we make them say it back to us probably about 5 or 6 times, and we change it up every time. So if you say the memory verse, you're going to repeat it after me. That's one. Then we're going to do it one more time. You're going to say the memory verse. You're going to repeat it after me. This third time, I'm going to say the memory verse, but I am going to whisper it, and then you're going to repeat it, and you're going to whisper it back to me. If I don't mind getting in trouble, next time we're going to say it as loud as we can. So that depends on, if I've been in trouble at the church because, 25-year-olds screaming their memory verse, while cool, and I think Jesus appreciates that, can get you in trouble if it's disrupted to the other classes. Fifth one, though, we do it wacky. So depending on flu season or people being sick, we'll hold our noses. So I'll hold my nose, and of course I'm not actually doing anything. I'm just making I'll hold my nose, but I'll do that. And so they have to hold their noses because it makes them sound so silly. But we say the memory verse silly as well. Or we do fish face. You will have to hold this, and you will have to say the memory verse like I say the memory verse because it makes them sound silly. Last one, we do this one if depending on, I don't want them, if kids are getting sick, I don't want you holding your nose or your mouth, but we'll do this where you take your finger right underneath your chin and you go, and we'll talk like this when you say the memory verse. And so I'll say the memory verse and then they'll repeat after me trying to do that. Here's why we do that. We do that because that's what they'll remember. So they love saying the memory verse and they want to say it and they'll go tell their moms or dads. And I've had so many times where kids come up to me and they're like, we did this and I was going, hi. And I said the memory verse to my mom. And like parents will come up to me and like, hey, why is my kid like holding their nose and telling me Bible verses? And that's a win for me. I don't know if it's a win for you guys, but I feel like that's a win. So, yeah. So, let's see. Let me look over my notes real quick. Let me give you just a couple of really quick, practical, very practical puppet like techniques. So once again, my whole thing on this was, I feel like we all grew up and we've seen puppets used in, puppets are still used today at Sesame Street teaching children. They're used to entertain children. I think we all have grown up and seen that in some form or fashion, especially if you grew up in the church, you've seen puppets used in ministry. I think there is definitely a value to it. I feel like if your church hasn't used puppets in ministry, give it a try. I'm all for trying out new things, and some things work. And you'll know very quickly if they work, if they don't. But I promise you, I think that seeing a puppet, the kids will, A, interact more with it. B, it's a great tool to keep kids focused. And it's a great little added benefit. It's a fun little, this is a guest star, even though it's pretty much just a sock. It's a sock, but it's a guest star. So one of the things, that I really like to show, and when I teach puppets to church staffs, and it's a lot of youth that like to do it, but there's adults, youth, kids, and anyone can do it. It doesn't matter. The first thing we learn is how to just be still. We're going to learn how to move our hands and everything, but when I do puppets for children, just like when you teach for children, when you have older kids, you want to be more animated, but for smaller kids, for preschool, which is where I primarily focus puppet ministry, 1-year-old to 5 years old. When the teacher's calm, your class will be calm. When your teacher's over animated and wacky and zany, your kids are going to follow suit. And so there's definitely a balance to that, but for teaching those small children who are already trying to learn how to interact in a classroom setting, a lot of them, this is their first time in a classroom setting, I always try to be calm. And so my puppet is also going to be calm. So Julius, he's not going to come out and go, oh my goodness, ah! He can, but most of the time, he's going to just sit here and go, hi, kids. Are you ready to learn something today? I think you are. Oh, man, this is going to be great. This is going to be so great because we're going to learn something really great. We're going to learn about God. And I'm going to tell you a story. Oh, I love this story. Oh, man, I love this story. We're going to talk about Zacchaeus. Oh, I love Zacchaeus. Do you love Zacchaeus? Seriously, do you love Zacchaeus? I love Zacchaeus. Oh, this is one of my favorite stories ever. But there's a calmness there. I'm not wacky. I always look at it. You wouldn't see that really on Sesame Street. You don't see a puppet waving because, as you can tell, just let's look at this. You are the eyes of a child right now looking at me, the teacher with the puppet. What is this? This is a blur. But when I talk like this, when I talk real calm, real slow, real concise, you're focused because I'm focused on you. Hi, hi, hi out there. I see you. Hey, psst, are you having fun? So, once again, completely apologize. I get kind of random on this, but so he's real calm. He's real focused. I try to get my eyes to focus so much just right at you. And that's what I want to do when I talk to kids. I want to talk to kids and I focus my eyes right at them. So it's a little bit hard with the webcam. But as you can tell, anytime you've ever done webcam, you have to look at the camera, not the screen. That's what I'm kind of faulting on here. But hi, how are you? Hi. Let's talk about, hey, have you heard about Jesus? Yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about some of his miracles today. Miracles. So, but yeah, I mean, there's just little things like that. The memory verse. Once again, memory verse. Hi. Hey, kids. All right. So we're going to talk. Are you ready to say our memory verse? I'm going to count to 3. A 1, a 2, a 3. Let's say it together. Oh man, I didn't prepare a memory verse to give as an example. So we're just going to say Jesus wept. Oh, yeah. Took a long time to learn that one. So hopefully you're not using Jesus wept as your memory verse. Although a great memory verse, doesn't really benefit too much. So anyway, trying to think of some other things. Puppets are great. I think they add a real benefit to it, to children's ministry. I think it's something really special. As I'm wrapping up here, I want to talk about a couple of things just for the conference. If you want to learn more about puppets and ministry and how to utilize them, how to learn some of the techniques or whatever, just reach out to me. So this is kind of one of the things I love doing. I love working. I've worked with a bunch of churches through just online videos, through actually going out to and training people and showing them how I teach, how we do teach in Keller. We've had people come out to our church and just kind of observe. It's something, we're all in it together. I don't know if you were like me. I grew up where churches were kind of competing against people, and our church was great and everyone else's wasn't. And man, the freedom of coming to find out that is not the right attitude, that we are all in this together and we should help each other because we're all one body. That's been amazing to me. And so I love helping other churches. I love helping other ministries. So reach out to me. Just shoot me a message. Another thing is for the freebie for the online conference, I have a PDF that should be available to everybody for a do-it-yourself paper bag puppet. I think this one is a penguin is the one. So kids color it, cut it out. You take a paper bag and a glue stick and glue it together. And so it's something that they'll be able to just put on their hands. It's not it's not a real puppet, but what we do is once they've done that, then the puppet will then say the memory verse. So any way that you can get a kid to remember the memory verse, that's a win. I always do it. I always make that the front because sometimes I teach stories, and because I'm not reading it straight out of a Bible, I'm making it very creative, very there's things I change depending on the children's age, depending on if the class is attentive and everything. So there's things that kind of go in and out, but we hit the main points, but there's a lot of stuff that kind of goes in there. But the memory verse is read directly from the Bible. That's something they learn, and it's a word for word from the Bible, depending on which version you're reading. But so I always put that as a major focus of a win for us, is that if they learn the memory verse, they're learning word for word God's word. If they can remember the story that I tell, that's great. But they're learning a story, and you've seen it in any of the videos and curriculums. It's always, there's always a little bit of not variations. It's not anything where we're adding or changing things, but like VeggieTales. VeggieTales is a great example. You learn about Shadrach and Benny, and you're learning a message and a story that's kind of framed a different way. You're learning a biblical truth using a biblical story, and it's just altered a little bit. So, not that that's what we do, but when you learn the memory verse, that is a word for word of coming straight out of the Bible. So that's why I always call it a win. Another thing is the item that I am donating to give away is a copy of my children's book that I wrote. There you go, Matthew Sides. So this is a story that that I would tell if we ever had too much time. The pastor ran over on time, which happens a lot. So no, I'm just joking. But you know how it is. Sometimes you've done your craft, you've done your snack, you've done your story and your lessons, and you still have to fill time. So I started telling this story called "I Want a Pet Turkey" about a little boy who's supposed to look like me, except his hair is not as gray as mine now. And he found a turkey, and he had to make a choice, a good choice or a bad choice, on how to catch that turkey and make it be its friend. And guess what? He chose the bad choice, and there's consequences to bad choices. So it's not necessarily something that ends with a scripture or anything like that. This is a very easy little story. I've been really blessed to go to elementary schools and churches and festivals and all sorts of like bookstores to read this. It's a great story about consequences. And so, our church, we have copies of it in every classroom. And so I just want to give this out. So as you can see, just to let you know, based on real life events, this right here happened. I'm very embarrassed on how old I was. That is a small child. I was 22 when it happened to me. So anyway, I hope that everyone enjoyed this. I hope that it wasn't too all over the place. I really think that puppets in ministry is just such an amazing thing to teach kids. It's just another tool in your tool belt of your ministry. It's something that as you hopefully can tell, very dear to my heart on that. And I hope that for the people that are using puppets, hopefully you learn something about it. It sparks something in you to think maybe I should do this or that. For ministries that aren't using it, hey, take a chance. Maybe you don't have someone that wants to do puppetry and everything, but there might be. So ask around. There's a lot of really great things. If you are wondering some of the techniques, if you want to make a puppet, I have a lot of really great places to go find patterns and how to do it. I'm building puppets right now, so if I can do this, you can as well. So there's definitely a lot of really great things out there, a lot of stuff, and I definitely want to show. I'm not stockpiling secrets. I want to give those away. I want to show you how to do it. I want you to be successful, because when you're successful, we're all successful. And anytime any of us wins, the kingdom of God is strengthened and expanded. So anyway, like I said, any questions, comments, feel free to shoot them over to me. Once again, I want to thank everyone involved with the Online Children's Ministry Conference. This is such an amazing avenue of just creativity, of community coming together. I hope everyone has enjoyed this. I hope that you've learned something from it. I definitely will be watching all of these. This is pre-recorded, but I'll be watching all of them. Last year was amazing, and I think I have a notebook full of notes from people that I took listening to every one of these. So hopefully you do as well. So thanks, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, guys.